Hey! It's the VO life. It's that life that we're all living. Look who's here! It is the unparalleled.
Unappareled.
We're all naked. No,
We're all
it's the
naked.
unapparelled.
It's
Don't
funny that you
watch the
started off the
video.
podcast.
Don't watch the video.
Well, I don't even think of it. Is there a video? I just thought it was funny you start off the podcast with "Look who's here."
Talk about
Yeah, look
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
here.
Look who's here. People
Look
are in their
who's
cars
here.
or they're looking around. Who is here? You know?
But sometimes I like to throw up the little video intros, and I guess.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's
So
fine.
why not? Why not? Hey, Jake doesn't like us to say Gang of Four, but it is the Gang of Four. We're back together today for a little while, just to kind of talk about what's going on with all of our VO worlds and give everybody updates. And we're just gonna discuss stuff. And if you want to listen in, you're here. Listen in. We right before we got on, we were talking about online casting, and we'll continue. Well, with the subject we were on was Voice 123 and Voices.com and aggravations, frustrations, and Jake, kick us off, man.
Well, I was just saying my VDC is up in 5 days. My last year, I'm not going back. I'm totally happy with that decision. I mean, like if you listen to another VO podcast, or if you've heard me talk elsewhere, or if we met in person, if you asked me about my voiceover career, I started off on VDC. And it was great. My first year was excellent. My second year was great. The third year was a little, but I still made money on there. I think if you look at my, how long I've had a membership and how much money I've made on there, on your stats page, I think I've averaged about, I don't know, like 10,000 a year or something like that, which isn't bad, especially for like a $500 a year investment. I never got in on any special payments. And I thought I was going to stop last year, but I gave it one more go. And I did, I think I did around like 7K, but most of that happened within the first 6 months of the year. And then after that, it just went quiet on me. I think I booked one job in August and then one job in December, and that was it. Since then it had been like May, or May or June.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, direct marketing started paying off. Direct marketing, obviously, we talk about it's a slow burn. Everyone, I would hope everyone understands if you're going to start direct marketing, which I do recommend, it's not instant gratification. You're basically planting seeds, and those aren't going to grow until maybe even, a couple months, maybe even a year, maybe even longer. It's
it just depends on when they get watered, right? Well, you can't control the weather. Like whenever the weather is going to water it, hey, it waters it, and hey, that seed was there, so now they reach back out to me.
Right. And one of the things we had talked about before we got on here was, we talk about, I said, what have you guys seen out in the industry? And by that, I meant kind of like the Facebook groups, because that just kind of seems where everyone kind of convenes and you see different people's stories and different people asking questions. And I've seen a couple people talk about the different platforms they're on. One in particular talking about VDC. And in retrospect, I'm like, man, if someone would have asked me where I should start if they were going to do a platform, I would say they should invest in 123. Mm-hmm. Obviously, VDC has opportunities, but they're they kind of bogart, they have all these rules you can't break, kind of like what we were talking about just before too, is, you can't mention, getting like, hey, let's get on a Zoom, and then all of a sudden you're getting like a notification like, hey, keep everything on site, where 123 just totally allows you to, it basically helps you cultivate your client list. Are there bad jobs with bad rates on 123? Yeah, absolutely. But guess what? You don't have to audition for them. Are there great jobs with great rates on there? Absolutely there are. Are there clients that are more than willing? In fact, some of them prefer to get off the platform on that one. Absolutely. And you know what? Voice 123 does not care. And
it's almost like having an agent.
It's 100%.
You're just but you're not paying any fees except for your annual fee.
Right. Unless they want to pay you through the site, though, which is fine. But
that's on them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys this. If you are starting out and you want to get on Voice 123, would you not start out for a month or so or however longer with the free thing and build up your profile and get it ready? And then would you go to the lower paid thing and try to get some likes and get that percentage up? Because if you jump in and you pay the $888 right off the bat and you're not getting likes and you're not ready, you've thrown away $800 and you're going to tank your profile, correct?
And it is a hard climb back up from a low percentage.
It is. This is what I would say. This is what I would say to do with 123. And if you're jumping into voiceover, Yeah, build up your profile. And by that, I mean, like, make sure it's good. Get someone to review it. Get in the Facebook. I mean, like, Bridget Real and I were talking on a post the other day, and I can't remember the name of the person she suggested, but if you went into any of the Facebook group, I mean, yeah, like groups and start talking about this, someone can point in the right direction. I think what you should do is like kind of what Troy was saying, set up your profile, have someone who knows how the algorithm works. You know, you might have to pay a little money for it, but you know, it's an investment. Review your stuff, make sure that's good for you, and then also get with your coach. And if you don't have a coach, maybe get with a coach and see if you're even like if they think you're ready. Like, and then if they think you're ready, I would get in at the minimum at the 888. And look for a coupon. I know someone that I've kind of not necessarily been coaching, but kind of have like I know them through some friends outside of the VO world. They've done some like independent voiceover stuff. And I was talking to her, and she got in on the 8088 with a coupon. I think it got it down to like 650 or whatever. And I'm sure that they have stuff like that all the time. You know what I mean? And that gets you a year. That gets you a year to try it out. But one thing I told her, I was like, if you're going to audition, make sure you are a good fit. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that make sure you think you can book it. Just make sure that you do fit the specs, because that'll increase your chances of getting the like. And I said, and that's what it revolves around. Like your top, I'm going to call it your reputation, your top, you know, percentage or whatever is all dependent on your short list and stuff like that. But I wonder if other factors come into that too, because lately I'm seeing a lot more, I'm getting a lot more jobs on 123 that didn't get shortlisted lately. I'm seeing that a lot more.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And I do that. I get the same on voices.com. The last 2 jobs I booked, I wasn't shortlisted.
But I'm talking about the algorithm and how the algorithm works on 123. I know a lot of it is based on your shortlist, but I mean, you know, it's always concerning when you don't get the shortlist. But then again, I'm having a lot more people they'll message me on 123, and a lot of times it's a job I auditioned for but didn't get a shortlist, but they're like, hey, we want to go with you. And I'm wondering if, like, obviously the website can see that that these people are messaging you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
maybe.
But the thing is, my percentage hasn't tanked. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what I do.
It, though.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I know what you do. I do it too. But you ask people.
What? No. So if you don't get shortlisted, but they reach out to you for a job that you auditioned for, and they didn't shortlist you, but they're like, hey, we want to, you know, you could email me at this and whatever. So what I say is, just to help me jog my memory, can you go ahead and thumbs up it, because it puts it to the top of the list,
right?
Because I audition all day.
Not always.
I'm not even sure if it does it or not. That's just what I say. So then they shortlist it, right? Maybe I know what job they're talking about. Maybe I don't. Right? But I say, can you go ahead and just give that a quick thumbs up
so I can find it?
So I can find it, because I audition. You know, I do so many auditions. It's all in the mix.
I'm so swamped with all this work I'm doing.
Hey, but
I'm Charles Booker.
This class in 123 BS is brought to you by Charles the Voice.
Right.
No, but I mean, they do. Then they're like, oh yeah, sure, doink, and then. You know, it's I see which one it is. I see which one it is.
All right, now let's flip the coin,
Charles.
Yeah, clever. The voice of clever. Let's flip the scenario, because Alden, you're not doing any pay to play, right?
No.
Online casting. So tell us, and I know everything has changed for you. So talk to us about how things are going and what you're doing. And you know, I know you mentioned to me the other day you were going to crank marketing back up and some things, but
well, we know I took on this new part-time job last summer, and that's continuing to move forward. And it's taken a little bit more time than I thought it was going to take, which is fine. I enjoy working with the church and doing what they've asked me to do. However, lazy me, it was easier to slough off some of the extra things that we all know you have to be self-starter at, like marketing and those other things. I don't regret going off the pay to plays. That was not working for me.
Right.
But I've continued to serve my regular clients, and I need to build that back up, because that's not, you're always going to start to trail off if you're not finding new to replace people who are leaving. And even I was going to add this to Jake's marketing comments. It is a slow burn, and you don't get rewarded right away. And even then, there's a percentage of your direct marketing that they have something right now you can do, but maybe they're not going to be a regular client. So
Right.
you
Could be
got
a
to keep.
one-time thing.
Yeah, you're the ones that turn into regular clients is a much smaller percentage too.
Very.
So you have to really push marketing hard when you do it. It's not enough just to drop 5 emails here and then 5 emails there. You've got to really go after
Right.
it.
Got to be consistent.
Right.
So
and
that's what I'm getting ready to get back going with on my marketing.
That's awesome, though. I mean, like I'm really excited for that to pick back up for you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for sure.
the marketing thing's tough because it's so many facets of it. It's finding the leads, finding a good email address, finding the right person at those companies, and it's really hard. I mean, if you spend the time and do it right, there are days I have good luck on my own and I'll dig up. It seems like I'm popping a good contact every 10, 15 minutes. And then there's other days sometimes I feel like I'm digging for an hour for the right email or I find their name and everything and I find them on LinkedIn and whatever, but then there's no mention of an email and you got to dig and dig and dig to get the end part. How does that company structure? Is it first name dot last name? Is it first initial dot last name? It's hard sometimes, it's really, really hard. It's a lot of work, but
and when Alden says, as kind of the rotation, right, kind of goes through for your clients, that's, I think, one thing that people don't expect, because if you have a client, you're like, sweet, I have a repeat client, right? But things happen, right?
Yeah.
I got an email yesterday for a repeat client of mine, and this is going to be the 4th job, and they sent me an email on Friday, and they're like, hey, Charles, the client selected you for this spot, and here's all the sides, and here's the scratch. If you could have it to me by Monday, that would be great. And I was like, cool, awesome, right? And I mean, I think it was like $700. And then Mr. Procrastinator, right, always waits till I was like, okay, I'm going to be free Sunday afternoon, evening. I'll get it all done, check everything, and send it to him then. And I got an email from him on Sunday afternoon. And he's like, Charles, I'm so sorry. This is not the way we work. But the client decided that they wanted to use another voice actor that they've used before for this spot. And luckily I didn't record anything and send it all. But, so that was money that, it's like, oh, this repeat client's a repeat client. And this job was gone. You know what I mean? That's $700 that's gone.
Yep.
And so, the thing is, I still want to work with him because it's his client for that particular product.
Right.
And so I was like, hey man, we can't control what we can't control. Don't worry about it. If they do decide to go in my favor, because he's like, I'm going to talk to him on Monday, and make sure and figure everything out. And I said, if they do decide to go with me, I got your back. I was like, I can whip it out and get it to you by Monday, so you can still meet a deadline, and you're good to go. So he's like, hey man, I really appreciate it. Thanks for that. And so now, if it doesn't go in my favor, at least he's like, all right, Charles is ready to go if we needed him. He's telling me he's willing, he's not mad. He's not sending back a hateful email or something. So when the next one comes around, maybe, I'll be top of mind for him. So
Yeah.
Good point. You have to every day, everything you do with your business, it's your business face. You got to really be careful, And let me roll this into something else. Right now there is a lot of friction and stuff going on social media. So if you're a voice actor, be careful with all of that. I mean, just be careful jumping in the middle of that kind of stuff, because you are putting your opinion and your face out there tied to something that people in the industry may not like. So be very, very, very careful.
Well, and it's not a good look if your opinion ever becomes more important than your role of fulfilling your client's needs.
Right. Exactly.
That should be first in our business.
Yeah, we got a job to do and do it. And Charles has always been always been the epitome of customer service, and I know we've been pressing him. You need to write a book or do a seminar or do something. I know he's working on some of that stuff, but you do have to. All right, so let me rewind into one more thing. We all went through a lot of stuff in 2024, and I kind of look at it from the aspect of Charles took leaps and bounds in his career in 2024, and a lot of good things started happening. A lot of things started clicking.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, at the end of the year, Jake starts having a lot of things clicking and happening and things going on. He's clicking and rocking and rolling. I've had a really good January. I mean, things haven't changed a ton, but I went into green screen stuff and some other stuff, and it's been really busy. I've booked 2 long form jobs, probably about 5 little short form things that'll probably start popping up on TikTok or Facebook, and you'll see my ugly mug. But you know what? I want to be busy and I want to make money, but I don't want to give the farm away. And this was another way to make money at a decent rate. So, and then
I think it's cool though that you're doing it. I mean, like you found something. It's not quite voiceover, but it's kind of like voiceover adjacent.
it is,
And
It's voiceover and acting, I guess.
it is. But let me tell you
like,
what, the long form stuff, and this is where it comes in really cool for me. The long form stuff, and they're usually somewhere between 6,000 and 9,000 words. This is not sitting down reading a 10-minute YouTube thing, but I have read 6,000-7,000 of those YouTube things. So for me to sit down and go through that stuff and be into it and be that person in that thing. Yesterday, I was a pastor that had lost the feeling in his feet while driving a church van due to nerve ending problems. So, he crashes into a snowbank and, thank God these kids weren't hurt and da-da-da-da-da. And then he goes on about this supplement that he found to help the nerve pain. And, that's the kind of stuff it is. And you see this stuff on the internet all the time.
Yeah.
All
like
the
a
time.
video sales letter
So,
style.
but here's the deal right now. At my age, that is the appeal. They're looking for guys that are older, more experienced sounding and blah, 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 blah. And they're paying more for that because there's not that many of us that would do that. You see tons of young people hawking stuff, look at these great new earbuds and da 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 da.
Oh, yeah.
But what a lot of us don't see a lot of times are and if you turn on one of these I call them old folks channels. My mother watches. My mother watches, and I can't remember what it is, but they show Gunsmoke and all this old stuff. Every commercial, it's red light therapy, a hearing aid,
diabetes,
the call thing. Yeah, diabetes. Get you some oatmeal, by God.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
So the older actor has a good shot at that. Now, will this lead to bigger, better stuff? That'd be nice. Heck yeah, I wouldn't mind doing bigger, better stuff.
Yeah,
but,
heck yeah.
But
If you were the new diabetes guy, come on.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows where anything will lead? That somebody sees one of those and tries to find you. Who knows?
So I kind of want to go back real quick to the voiceover adjacent thing. I think that's definitely like something good to do to, obviously bring in some extra money as well, but also like just help your voiceover career because you're still getting experience and you're learning new things that you can kind of incorporate with voiceover. And I can't remember who said it. And I think maybe I read it on LinkedIn over a year ago, and it was another voice actress talking about how it takes a lot to be a full-time voice actor or to make this your sole, to make this your full-time job and whatnot. And one of the things that helped her was doing things that were voiceover, what she called voiceover adjacent. And it involved maybe offering her editing skills or maybe offering, I don't know, like a script proofreading and stuff like that. Stuff that's still like you may not be doing the voice, but maybe you're helping someone create the end product, what goes in there.
Right.
And that's really cool. That's definitely something I would suggest to people who are interested in trying to make this your full-time job. What other skills do you have that you can kind of apply to a voiceover adjacent scenario and maybe, start freelancing that out there too, you know what I mean? And whatever regards that looks like, I
mean, it's only gonna help you because if you think about it, if you're doing proofreading, if you're writing scripts, if you're doing those kinds of things, that's only going to help you when you do your voiceover because now you understand the script better, you can visualize the flow better, it all helps. You know,
Yeah.
just build
100%.
on your voice acting
Correct.
repertoire.
Correctamundo.
Yep.
Yes.
Hey,
correct.
one thing I do want to talk about is, we're talking about Facebook groups and this and that. So I got the audition for, I'm not going to say the company, but it was for what, $263,000 or whatever. But you had to,
Oh, I know what you're talking
after,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
for at least the first year,
A
you
year-
had to
it
be
was 2 years.
exclusive. You
It was
had to
2
be,
years.
yeah, you had to be exclusive to that product, and you could not voice anything else that was a branded commercial.
Anything.
Right?
It wasn't even competitors.
Yeah,
It was.
it wasn't even like, oh, other fast food chains or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? It was literally like, we
all
own
brands.
you. We
all
own
brands.
you.
And it wasn't
can't-
enough
yeah.
money.
Dude. And it was like, I thought about it for a second. Of course, everybody's
add
going
to
to
this
see that.
after you say
Everybody's going to see that number, and they're going to think about it, right? Because they're like, "Well, $236,000." Well, after 20% to my agent, and after 30% on the side for
20%.
taxes, right? Well, because it was a non-union job.
Wait. Are you talking about because the rate said plus 20%?
No, it's 20% there's 20% to my agent.
Okay. Never mind. Keep
If
going.
it's a non-union job,
That's interesting.
right? If it's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
agent, if it's a SAG job, it's only 10%.
Yeah, we'll talk about this later
Yeah.
after the podcast.
So, and then after taxes, it was around 100,000, right? Now, if I was just starting out, let's go
No
for
question, right?
it, right? But, you think about it and it's like, okay, so all my customers, like I have a lot of clients that I do their spring, summer, fall stuff. I do repeat ads for them for every quarter, those kind of things. Like, well, guess what? I can't use them anymore. Do you think they're going to wait a year? They can't.
No.
Right? So
No.
all this work that I've done for the last 4 years, building up a client base, building up these relationships, building these, friendships, like I got to ghost them all. So then, okay, after 1 year, maybe maybe some of them will hang out, right? But they had the option to renew, right? So up to 4 years. So now what? 5 years I'm out of the game, and then I'm going to jump back in? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. Like, that was crazy.
That's not near enough money for
So
No. If it
Drive
was like
the rest of your
$900,000,
Didn't they end
I
up?
wanna-
Did
I wanna
they end
talk
up
about this.
rewriting the spec? I mean,
there
the
was so many
requirements?
different people saying,
So
well, my
who
agent
knows?
said this, and
Okay.
somebody
I
said
never
that,
got
and I'm
the
like,
I never got the initial rewrite about exclusivity or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
I got the initial email, and then my agent reiterated, everybody understand what this means, but I never
Mhm.
saw anything that they changed. But here's what I did with that. And look, first of all, because of the brand, because of how many people are out there, I was like, okay, it's a long shot for me to get this anyway. I think, no matter who you are, it's a long shot because there's only one person that could get the job, right?
Right.
But that being said, I'm kind of the unofficial voice of what would be considered a competitor, a direct competitor of this thing,
Mhm.
and that's a job I kind of secured at the end of last year. I don't have a contract with them, but they do keep coming back to me via my agent, and I've been told. It's just like, you're the guy. They don't want to go through any kind of audition process every time, so I'm kind of their unofficial voice. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I love that idea, So when I saw this job initially, I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But then obviously when I saw what the exclusivity was, I was like, okay. And then I didn't submit right away. But then I started thinking, okay, well, what if I throw my hat in the ring and somehow I am one of the choices, or I am the choice?
Mhm.
I think that opens a window to negotiate. And so
Mhm.
that's what I told my agent. I said, hey, I totally understand what this means. I'm throwing my hat in the ring because here's the thing. You auditioning and getting the job does not necessarily mean you have to commit.
Mhm.
I could get
True.
the job and I could get the job and still go, you know what? If we can't make this happen, then I can't do this. I can back out because there's nothing signed. When you audition, you're not signing a contract. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
So
that's what I told my agent. I said, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, knowing that, I have this other thing going on. But again, that's not contracted either. It's not a contract, but I've just gotten a lot of verbal communication and verbal confirmation. So in my mind, I'm thinking, if I do get this one and they're not willing to bend, me and my agents could go back to these other people and say, hey, this bigger brand, one of your competitors, wants me, but what do you guys have? What can we, is there anything? I don't know. I just saw it as a negotiating opportunity if that's the case. Now,
Sure, I can see that.
again, long. One
I'm
of the reasons
I'm gonna add something to when you're done.
Okay, and one of the reasons I did that is because it's a long shot, right? You never know, and let's face it, knowing who that bigger company is, they could afford to pay more. They could absolutely afford to pay more.
That's why they didn't go SAG.
Right, 100%, 100%. And ultimately, I think they probably will. They probably will because I don't know. Anyway, there is I had a method to my madness, and I was like, I'm just gonna put my hat in the ring. I explained why I was auditioning to my agent because they did put it out, but I basically told them up front, if I'm somehow the selection or in the ring for the fight, this is what I'm thinking. And they were like, all right, so we'll see what happens. I mean, there's no point in like speculating until it happens. So I did audition for it. But again, like I said, just because you audition doesn't mean that you're contractually obligated to go through with it. So that's where I was coming from. And I was like, I saw that as a good opportunity to possibly bring negotiations to the table and either get those numbers up or get the exclusivity straightened out better to where I'm not out of work or can't work for other people, or maybe get more money out of what I currently got going on, So you got to think about things like that. But I totally agree with you in terms of what the initial numbers they were offering is not worth what they were needing from the voice actor.
Yeah. So I thought the exact same thing because I was like, I'm gonna do it if I do get selected. Then I could negotiate because I don't have to agree. So the only thing that I thought of when I did that was my agent has sent me this contract. They've put in bold, please make sure you look at the details below, because they know, like, you got to read it. That's what their deal is. And I'm going to send in my audition. I get it. And now I'm going to be like, well, I'm not good with what they said.
Right.
And now that's a huge chunk of change for my agent that they're going to lose because what the heck, Charles, you auditioned for it, but now you're like, I don't want to do it. But the difference between you and me is you talk to your agent.
Right.
And
I told him up
talked
front
to
what
him
I was
before
thinking.
and said, yeah, and I didn't do that. So I just didn't audition for it.
I
So
will say,
looking in hindsight, I should have called the agent or at least reach out to him and been like, hey, like, I know it's this, and basically done what you did. Is that cool with you? Then if they were like, yeah, that's cool. We could play with it. We could try. Then I would have done it, but I didn't, which I didn't reach out to my agent about it, and I should have. So,
well, let me also add this too. I told my agent what I was thinking, but I also said, but if you feel like that's not the route we should go, I'm fine with you not submitting me. Like I said, here's my audition, listen to it. If you think it's worth to send it because of we can negotiate whatever, that's fine. I'm cool. But if you think it's just not worth it, or if it's, you don't want to risk that kind of thing, or you don't think we would be able to negotiate with them, then I'd rather just stick with what we know we already have. Because I've got, again,
that's a pro move. That's a pro move.
Well, I've just got like verbal confirmation that there is definitely more work coming from me for this, what would be considered the competitor, and that's so they know that there's more money coming in. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't want to mess with that, I totally get it. But because I'm in this particular situation, maybe there might be room to negotiate. I don't know. You guys are that side. You guys are more the administrative side. You know how that works. You guys have entertainment lawyers. You know how this works. You know what I mean? So I don't know what ultimately happened. They didn't confirm if they submitted me or not. Sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't get it. Didn't see it, but I did comment on a couple of the posts because my thought pattern was, all right, I'm not in my 30s or 40s.
Right.
I'm in my early 60s. If I could lock something like that, I would think about it. I love my current clients. Believe me, I love serving them. Could you possibly, as you guys said, could you negotiate some things like, I do this in-show narration and I do this. It's not, anything commercial or any product or anything. Could I do things other than any commercial thing? And
right.
You guys are right. I like the way you looked at it. And Jake got ahead of it, and Charles could have done the same thing, and that would have been great for you guys. That would work wonderfully. But that is crazy.
Because I was thinking
that'd
about
be a hard thing to think about. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a nice guarantee.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's and remember, we look at the average of what a lot of people make, but the people auditioning for that are not those people, not
Right.
likely. So, they're saying, well, there's a lot of people don't make 20 grand a year, and a lot of people make under 50, and a lot of people don't make anything. They probably did not get that audition.
Right.
So that's not in their, it wasn't on Fiverr, so
That's true.
it's all
Well,
good.
and
It
that's
was
the
on
thing.
VDC. No, it wasn't.
and that's the thing too, because like
Zero reviews.
if my bulk of my voice acting was in the genres of e-learning, audiobooks, right? And if that was my meat and potatoes,
Oh, yeah, totally
dude,
different
I'd go
scenario.
for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Right.
It just
Yeah.
happens to be that my meat and potatoes is in commercial. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
then
Right.
now it's like, okay, now I really have to think about this hard,
Yeah.
and is it
Right.
going to be worth it or not? But
Right.
I still like Jacob's thing. It's like, I should have reached out to my agent first before I
Well,
made
it's just
the
something to
decision
think
be
about,
hasty.
right? But I will say this: I probably would not have thought about it if I wasn't working for a competitor. Now I know that the verbiage was like not just competitors, all brands in general. But at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, I've got this going on.
Yeah.
There's always room. I mean, like
A
there's
good
leverage,
good
right?
agent is going to negotiate that away,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
way, because
Sure.
they want to book you for that and anything else they can book you
Yeah.
for. They don't want to
100%.
give. They're not going to give away that much exclusivity. They're
That's
not.
a good point.
They're just
Yeah.
not.
Especially if you have a good agent.
Yeah.
And I do.
They're going to
I
be
have a great
like,
agent.
yeah.
Oh,
they're going to
and-
be like,
And I owe you guys a big apology. I've been telling you guys for 2 years I'd never do an audiobook, and I did one. So
Yeah,
I
I was
owe you
really
an
upset
apology.
when you put that in the
Oh,
message
man.
group. I
Yeah.
like my
I just-
finger
I
was
don't
going
wanna
to the
ruin my
unfriend button.
reputation.
It was like,
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't want to ruin my reputation.
I was
But-
a little jealous because that looked like a good project to be on.
Yeah.
It was really good because I implemented at least 3 ERP systems in my career, or was involved in the rollout or the launch or choosing the vendor and going through the whole thing. And this book was exclusively how not to fail. It was called People, Places, and Things, and it was all about how to not fail at an ERP launch. It was written very down to earth,
For all of our
enjoyed it.
listeners, that don't know what ERP is, can you explain that?
Yeah, it's an enterprise resource planning. So
Okay.
it is the system in your company that drives all of your systems. So ERP collects all your data. It tells your purchasing people what to order, when to order it. It makes recommendations. And now with AI, it's amazing what an ERP can do. You don't even have to write queries anymore. You can basically take AI in the system and ask it questions, and it'll go get the answers. It's amazing. But a lot of companies, they may have a scale involved, and they weigh stuff, and the weights go into the system, and maybe they were handwriting tickets. Well, ERP makes everything automated, electronic, et cetera, et cetera. That's the way it started years ago. And
Quick and retrievable, and
It
you
does.
can find everything. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the book talks about all the bastardized systems people had, and they will go into launch, and then halfway through they go, oh, but we run that in Excel. Well, you didn't tell us that in the front end. How are we? It was all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really, I really enjoyed it. But the cheater part was, I didn't have to do any editing, proofreading, nothing.
That's
all
the
I
part
had
I'm
to
jealous
do was
about.
click. Yeah, all I had to do was click. And with all of that, again, back to all that YouTube experience, there were some chapters I read that only had 1 or 2 clicks in them, because it was an easy read for me, because of all the YouTube stuff. So people can say, you did all that YouTube for $10? Well, yeah, I did years and years ago, but look what it did for my brain and my eyes. Now I can do audiobooks if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then I got people saying, well, you should try a fiction book with characters in it. And I'm like, no, I do not want to have a spreadsheet of every character and what they sound like and all that. That's a lot of work. But to sit and read a nonfiction business book, yeah, I would do it again. It was
Well,
not that bad.
I mean, and
I would
this
even
is-
edit it.
This is a prime example of, your past experiences, whether it's your job, travel, whatever it is. Like, I mean, you fit like a glove into this. right? And it's interesting to you. For some other people, they'd be like, ERP, I don't want to talk about that, right? But you, it's
Yeah.
like you did it.
Right.
This is an
Yeah.
experience that you could pull from, and
Yeah.
now you're engaged in
done.
that topic. So
Yeah, and the
when
thing
the
that I
listeners,
liked,
yeah,
it's for Forbes Publishing, which is they're pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that was over it, he said, "I'm sure this will be one of many titles." I thought, well, that'll be great, especially if they're all, nonfiction, and I don't have to do any editing, and
That's
you're
the-
paying, and they're
that's
paying
so
the top,
good.
the $250 an hour, which is a pretty good rate to read. So anyway,
I mean,
it feels
just the
some time.
not having to edit. That's
Yeah,
I mean,
huge.
that's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
But I think based on how many times I was hitting the clicker, there was a couple chapters I get tongue tied on something, and you're like, "Damn it, shit!" That happens. But most of it was pretty even, and I could have even edited as I went. And I set a goal: I'll read 2 chapters a day, every day, 7 days a week, and then I'm done in a week. They were expecting to get it, I think, the end of February, and they got it on Saturday. So.
Are they going to come back to you with pickups in case you missed an edit?
They said probably within the next few weeks. If there are any pickups, they will send them to me in a package. But we'll see.
Yeah, great.
So
That's awesome. It's nice when especially if you're doing something long form, like I've done longer form, and they're like, they just send me, hey, these are the sentences that you need to redo, and I'm like, this is a 35-minute recording.
Yeah, you
like
gotta
they
have
didn't put
timestamps.
timestamps. They didn't put anything. I'm like, what? Like
I used to have one that
come
did
on.
that too. Yeah, even just on a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
There's a AI service called Positron that will review your, and I did this with my last audiobook I did in the fall.
Positron. I think I've seen them at a
Positron?
booth at One Voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt. And I think Booth Junkie has interviewed them as well. Anyway, they that you copy and paste your script, and then you upload your audio file, and it will run them together and pick up any mistakes you made, and it does timestamp where you are in the script. So
Automation, man. That's. I mean, how much freaking time does that save?
a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I can't
It
imagine.
costs. I mean, it's you can do the subscription service, or you can do what I did. I just did the pay as I go. Yeah,
Oh, pay as you go.
pay as I go. Yeah, which is like $11 per finished hour. I think it wasn't expensive.
Not bad.
That's awesome.
I enjoyed it. It's something behind me. I can say I did it if I never do one again. So anyway,
I don't know.
Well, hopefully you've got
I don't know.
more
You had
coming.
a,
That
you
sounds
had a
like
good experience.
yeah.
So hopefully it,
Yeah.
hopefully
Be a
it
good
comes
client.
again.
Yeah, and it could be, and it was through my agent, my New York agent, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
great. I had to, I had to audition for it. So
Yeah.
but they were asking for a business Southern accent.
And that's you.
It worked out perfect.
Spot on.
And didn't it
Perfect.
sound like there might be some more coming your way from them?
Yeah, he did say that. He said, "I'm sure there'll be more titles headed your way," which is, it's
It's
a
good
nice
to
thing
hear, but
say,
until it happens, you're kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
Especially in this
Who
gig, like in
knows?
any kind of gig like
knows?
this or acting, it's like people will blow so much smoke,
Yeah, I know.
True.
but
True,
and then
true,
nothing happens.
true. Speaking of blowing smoke, we've been blowing smoke for almost an hour. Can you guys believe it?
That's crazy.
Wow.
I can believe it because it's just like, when we would get together for the other podcast, like before we knew it, we'd be talking for, 50, 60 minutes and we're
Yeah.
just like, what? So
Yeah.
I guess
Shop.
before we call it, I imagine we'll probably check back in maybe in a month or so, or maybe a couple months or something. What's everyone's goal? What's everyone's goal to accomplish in the next, let's just say the next 3 months?
Balance. I gotta balance my other job with this one and bring it back up, because it's I've pushed it down and I need to bring it back up. So my goal is, investing a certain amount of time each week and each day that is just voiceover. So I don't get my time swallowed up by the other job.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's my goal. I mean,
I like
that's
it.
pretty simple. It doesn't have a number on it, but that's That's my drive right
No,
now.
makes sense. And I hope that does happen. Balance is definitely important, especially if you got multiple gigs going on. I got multiple gigs going on. So I definitely need to balance when I'm able to do my voiceover stuff versus when I need to be responsible to my other gig. So I totally get that.
Makes
Awesome.
sense. Makes sense.
I think for me, my goal within the next 3 months is I've been getting a lot of coaching. Lately.
You have.
Yeah. And I really want to make sure that I'm mindful in every audition that I do, that I am bringing those coaching nuggets of knowledge and utilizing them in my auditions.
So
because a lot of, go ahead.
Go ahead, Charles.
Because a lot of times we'll listen to a coaching, we'll do a coaching, or it's the same thing. You could go to a conference and gain all this knowledge, but then never put it to use.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can coach just to, there's many different reasons. Of course you want to get better at what you do, but there's also other reasons like, oh, I coach with these people. I coach with these people. I coach with these people. And it's like, it's nice to feel and say that you've coached with these, top coaches, but then you don't really do anything with it. So it's like, it's an investment that you're flushing down the drain if you're not utilizing the information that you got and putting it to practice.
Right.
So I want to make sure I do that, number one. And number two, be more on top of my invoicing and just keeping my numbers together, because a lot of times I'll get really busy during the month, and then towards the end of the month I'll start filling in information and stuff in my spreadsheet. So I just need to be a little bit better on keeping organized, because I'll stress myself out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, I need to send these people emails, or I didn't get this yet, and then I do all that, So it's like I just want to be on top of that, so it's not such a big task.
Yeah. Good point. I'm doing a couple of things, and Charles, I would ask this, and this may help you with your goal. You have coached with, and let's just say you've coached with 3 or 4 different people who are all top notch. You, like I have probably learned, is this one taught me this, but the light didn't go off till this other one taught me that. What you have to do now that you feel like you're to that point is say, I've got to make the Charles method. What are the steps I'm going to take from all of those coaches to make my method? So when I do an audition, I check these 3 boxes, or however many you decide, to put yourself into that copy and do what they ask you to do. But you have to combine all of that into your method. And I think that will help you, especially if you will write it down or put it on a card or something, and go, here are the 3 key things or 3 key words. It can even be 1 word for each step of, identify, identify who I am and where I'm at and who I'm talking to. They all teach us that. But what 3 steps can I take every time to bring my best to that audition? And that might help. What I'm doing is kind of goofy. I'm taking on a task these first 3 months of converting over to Apple from PC.
Welcome to the club.
My PC's about, it's 3 years old. It's not showing signs that it's going to go down. But here's the thing. I want a silent laptop. So you go with a MacBook Air, get the silent, get the speed, get everything that goes with it. And I've just got to learn the minor differences that I used to know 20 years ago of using the command key versus this and doing this and that, and how the file structures are, and how to make everything work. And I'm going to learn on a laptop I just bought, and then I'm going to convert here in the studio over to probably the mini studio version of the mini, and just do that. But that's one of my goals these first few months, and to continue working on upgrading and making my green screen stuff and my camera stuff work better. I got a new camera that came in yesterday, and I'm going to start on some of that. But
would you would you make a green screen? Like we have commercial demos, that demo. Is there a green screen demo that you could do?
I do have samples like on and where I get most of this business, and let's be honest, I get most of it through Fiverr. Now the big client is a direct client I used to do video sales letters for. And then they switched over to true video of the person. They used to just run B-roll for the whole thing, and you did the VO. And it paid pretty well. Well, they stopped, and I started asking what was going on. They said, well, we've almost gone to all green screen. where the person's actually talking and we insert them and blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested in that? And at first I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that. Well, the more I thought about it, I thought, you're leaving money on the table. So I went back and set this up, sent them a sample. They liked it. And yeah, I've made some of my own samples. I've done samples where I put a background in there, like an office or a hospital operating room, and I put on a scrub shirt, and they do ask me for different things. Like yesterday, they wanted me to wear like a polo and maybe a sweater or a vest where it looked more like a pastor, because this guy was a pastor. I did one the other day, and they said, just wear a dark color polo shirt. And I did one that they said, could you wear a flannel shirt? Well, hey, we don't wear a flannel shirt. I got plenty of them. So, stuff like that. I had one guy that wanted me to wear a hat, or some kind of hat, because it was a fast-paced, funny thing of, if you've got Wi-Fi, you can make $100 a week, or, $100 a day doing this, and this is all you got to do. Just click the button below. And, I put on big old glasses and a little black hat, and I'm doing that. So
he's got like a whole like costume wardrobe in the side.
I actually do. I'm in this spare bedroom, and there's a closet, and I've actually got the stuff that I offer. I've got pictures of it, and I can send it. I can send people a PDF, and it says, here's the different wardrobes I can offer. I got a lab coat, a scrub
that's
thing.
interesting.
I got everything. A suit, I can wear a suit, whatever. It's just waist up anyway. I offer all of that. I offer different settings. I can be outside. I can do green screen. Here's some basic photographs I can stick in the background if you want me like sitting where it shows an empty office or whatever. And, it's taken a little research, but during the Christmas downtime, I was able to put a lot of that together. It's fun.
That's awesome, man. I'm really happy.
That's cool.
That's
Fun
cool.
to
It's
do.
fun.
Something to do. Something to do.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Is that you, Jake?
Yeah, so I think honestly my goal is just to keep doing it. There is a casting director that I think I want to try to coach with, but I also might want to look into doing some promo coaching or something like that. I think I could do well in promo, but maybe I'm wrong. But we'll see. So ultimately, it's either look into promo, look into coaching with a certain casting director, and then just keep doing it. Hopefully this just keeps I'm riding a pretty high wave right now, so I'm pretty excited, and I hope that just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
I hope it does too. And Jake, as you've encouraged me through many times when I would ride a high for a month or so and then it hit rock bottom. We always got to be prepared, man.
Right.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
And they save for a rainy day, and I know you will. And I know your attitude won't change, but and I really would love to see you stay right up there doing what you're doing month after month after month. But as we all know, this is voiceover.
Very volatile.
And it is like riding. We used to have here at Opryland, the Wabash Cannonball was the roller coaster, and believe me,
Wabash.
that is
Wabash
what I think
Cannonball.
about often, because that thing went way up, and then it dropped down that hill, and then it went through like these corkscrew turns, and I'm like,
Oh God,
voiceover is just like that.
But when I say that ain't me riding that roller coaster.
Oh, I
don't
hear
ride
you.
roller coasters.
I hear you. I used to like them. They don't like me anymore. I can't
Sheesh.
take it anymore. It's something about after I turned, I think it was around 50. I could get on anything. It could spin 100 miles an hour. It didn't bother me. And then I got on something and I stepped off of it and I'm like, whoa, I lost it. I said, that's it. And I was dizzy for 2 hours and I said, I can't do it anymore. Something in your equilibrium can change, I guess. I don't know.
It's actually there's liquid in your ear that as you get older kind of congeals.
Yeah, in your semicircular canals.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like Leslie and I, my girlfriend, we went. She was randomly last summer. She was like, "I want to swing. I haven't swung in forever." And that's a horrible impression of her. So if she hears this, that's not what you sound like at all.
That doesn't
Yeah,
sound
that doesn't sound like Leslie.
Good try.
No, but anyway, and we went to a park up the street, and we went. We swung for a couple of minutes, and we were both like starting to feel like, oh my gosh, this is making me sick. Like I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's weird.
Okay,
It's
so
weird.
so before we close, now you got the old paramedic side in me going on. I want to tell you a fun fact. So in your ears, right, you have your semicircular canals, and you have three of them. One goes up, one is at a 45, or one's at a 45, and one. So it's like there's three of them. They're filled halfway up with fluid, and that's when those things move, right? That's what gives you your balance. So let's say when people drink alcohol, right?
Oh,
it thins your blood. So those semicircular canals that are half full are now full. So now when you lean to the left, they're really leaning to the left. So
keep
you
going.
start to stumble, right? Yeah, you keep going, right?
Oh, that's awful.
So here's
just
so
thinking
here-
about that's making me
Yeah,
sick.
so
dude,
here's
like-
my theory. Okay, here's my theory. And this is a weird way to end a voiceover podcast. But here's my theory. Full moon, right, is the highest gravitational pull, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the highest tides are. So what I'm thinking is your semicircular canals are full already. Your blood's thinned, right? And you've been drinking alcohol or whatever. And so your blood is more pulled up, right? Because of the gravity. And that's why crazier things happen to people on full moons.
I could go for that.
Yep. Anyway, that's
Why
all I
not?
got. Yep,
Why
that's
not?
all I
Yeah.
got.
Okay.
Yeah.
and that was the VO life.
Yeah.
That is the VO life. Hey guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out. We don't do this as often as we should, but we definitely need to do it every month or two and just keep everybody informed how we're all still doing. And we all still are accountable to each other. And Alden has dropped his goal in there about balance. And don't think the other three of us won't be asking in the group, hey, did you get your marketing in this week? We're gonna
Right.
We're gonna push you a little
That's what we
bit.
do.
So get ready. Hey, once again, VO Life sponsored by VO Inbox and VO Leads. If you're looking for a marketing tool, they are a fantastic tool you can use. I'm very appreciative of Jonathan for being a partner with the VO Life. Nice to have him along for the ride. And if you're looking for that service, reach out to him at voinbox.com. All right, guys, thanks so much. See you later.
Later,
Bye.
dudes.
How do you stop the recording? I don't know. Zoom has moved it. There it is.